Tyler the Creator is, of course, not only a rapper, he is a producer, a director, a songwriter, an arranger, and a singer. An artist whose talents stretch so far beyond the lens he was initially looked at through by the world in the early 2010s. Stirring controversy with cockroaches, outlandish public appearances, and transgressive lyrics, Tyler's public persona and artistic output now is a world apart from where he started. With that being said, the seeds of what would grow into albums like Igor and Flower Boy were there right from the very start, right from the Bastard days. Tyler is now a double Grammy Award winning artist, bringing this particular tweet full circle. He's also one of the most established acts in modern hip hop, retaining a commercial and cultural influence that is rarely sustained for this period of time. His influence remains far and wide, with even the likes of Billie Eilish citing Tyler as a key influence. Despite all of the achievements, the longevity, the drip, the world tours, the Camp Flognor festivals, the genre-bending albums, people do tend to sometimes underestimate Tyler's pure rapping, spitting ability. This is kind of understandable for someone who happens to be talented in a variety of musical and non-musical endeavors, but don't get it twisted, Tyler is a student of MCs like few are. Some of the most significant influences on his career include the likes of Jay-Z, Pusha T, and MF Doom. You don't make Call Me If You Get Lost a whole DJ drama tape unless you're a rap enthusiast and student. And throughout his career, Tyler has time and time again put out stellar rapping performances on each and every one of his projects. Some of my personal favorites include 48 from Wolf, Potholes from Flower Boy, Potato Salad with A$AP Rocky, alongside some of his best ever rapping on Call Me If You Get Lost. But there is one for me that trumps it all, and it's not even on one of Tyler's standard albums, but on the estate sale version of Call Me If You Get Lost, and that song is What a Day. What a Day to me sounds like the personification of peace, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's the happiest song, rather I think it's extremely bittersweet and concludes with Tyler at a point where he is content. Now, as someone who is clearly also an extremely talented producer, Tyler handles production on virtually all of his music solely. What a Day is not one of these songs. When I first opened the credits and saw who produced this song for the very first time, I lost my fucking shit. As someone who has been listening to Tyler's music since 2011 and is very familiar with his production style and choices, this beat sounded distinctly unlike a Tyler the Creator beat. It was dusty, it was vintage, its sampling was masterful but simple in equal measure. It was, of course, the work of Madlib, one of the greatest hip-hop producers to ever live. Madlib is best known for his collabs with the likes of Jay Dilla, Freddie Gibbs, and most famously of all, MF Doom, whom once again Tyler cites as a key influence. Here he is with Earl Sweatshirt geeking out after meeting him, which in my opinion is the only rational response to meeting MF Doom. The beat for What a Day is actually an incredibly old, unreleased Madlib joint. That alone tells you a lot to me. Madlib literally has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs, most of which are instrumental, to pick from if you want to spit over it. Tyler said that he would skate home to this beat as a teenager and described it as ethereal. Tyler also said that What a Day is one of his best raps, and alongside Dogtooth, another song from the estate sale, they serve as the best representations of his state of mind at the time. The fact that Tyler picked this beat proves to me that he is a genuine fan. We all have that one favorite unreleased tune from our favorite artists. Playboi Carti, I'm still begging you to release Riri, please. I'm a YG, I'm a we on that lean. The sample for this song is from a 1978 Polish jazz album called Ecstasy by Michael Urbanik, with the song being aptly titled A Day in the Park. Mainly sampling the opening section of this song, like a lot of Madlib beats, he masterfully rearranges whilst keeping the core essence of the song alive. What a day at the park. One of my favourite subgenres of rap songs are songs that recontextualize the lyrics of its original sample. It's niche, and I know it's not even a real fucking thing, but What a Day is the perfect example of this. On the surface, What a Day is a blissful song. The instrumental is so light and summery. It's relaxing. It's the kind of thing you play whilst you're tanning on holiday. I myself listened to this song non-stop whilst I was in Hungary and Sicily last year, and I have strong memories attached with this song and those trips. But like a lot of Tyler songs, particularly the Igor era songs, the music and vibe initially distract you from how dark some of the lyrics are. And not dark in a goblin kind of I'm gonna kill you and eat you and suck your blood and kidnap you way, but a genuinely vulnerable way. Within the first couple of bars, Tyler tells us that he's had to change the way he acts because of others, whilst remaining anxious that he might be emotionally hurt by those who are closest to him. When you have the context of the entire unreciprocated love of Igor's premise, that bar does hit a lot harder. He goes on to seemingly confirm that he has trust and commitment issues, saying that his lady doesn't trust him because she knows that both men and women want a piece of him, which is a very similar line of reasoning to this bar from Wilshire too. So much comment in tell me what you're good at, tell me the highs of the valleys that your boots stood at is such a clever and creative flex to me. The fact that it continues with the whole you couldn't fit in my loafers if you took a steroid bar makes it extra special. And I call it a flex, but it also feels like Tyler's description of a poisoned chalice considering the nature of some of the later bars. Like, you might not want to fit in my shoes. Look at all of this uncertainty and anxiety it's causing me. You might not be built for this. And I imagine that most people probably aren't. He goes on to list that he's not responding to texts, he's not enjoying the sex, he's got pain in his chest from suppressing the stress. Bars, by the way, absolute fucking bars. I'm no psychologist, but that withdrawal and pain in your chest sounds like trademark anxiety, and the suppression of said stress is only making it worse, an infinite cycle of hurt, like Igor. That's where we get the meta aspect of this song. Tyler flat out tells us that he's a workaholic and he needs rest. The reason he can't is because he has this crippling anxiety that this life won't be there for him anymore. On this verse, Tyler's work ethic and drive comes not out of passion but out of fear and anxiety. He doesn't want to steer off this path that's made him so successful, but at the same time, it's damaged his personal relationships. A song like Sorry Not Sorry puts this aspect of the song into perfect perspective. The final two bars of the verse are, white boy said I brag too much, the black kid said it's inspiring, duality is tiring, my girl would kill me if she knew the things I was desiring, suppressing it, get it out the way, I put the sirens in. The double entendre of duality referring to race and sexuality is beautifully handled before he once again references suppressing his emotions. He gets those emotions out the way by putting the sirens in literally as sirens play over this bar. The music, the song itself, is the suppression. His work is what allows him to run away from those real feelings described in this verse, with him admitting to being a workaholic. The reason these issues aren't being resolved in a healthy way is because he's too busy making songs about these issues not being addressed. It's so subtle, I didn't even notice this until a few months after I first heard the song. I'm literally in real time listening to Tyler mask his emotions by telling me he masks his emotions by making music. That's where the What a Day sample is recontextualized for me. The idyllic, childlike wonder of having the perfect day at the park is replaced by the facade of that, telling yourself that you're having an amazing day, when in reality you continue to mask and suppress your emotions. It's conflicting, personally, because the song remains so serene, I still associate it with happy memories whilst being fully aware of what Tyler is clearly communicating to me. The second verse of the song functions as the inverse of the first verse to me. It's where Tyler overtly indulges in his confidence, material possessions, and what are the things that separate him from other artists. He lists the things that make him him, those core fundamentals, alongside emphatically communicating his constant growth as a person and an artist. It's a really impressive balancing act that, in the hands of someone not as skilled and not as confident, it would come off contradictory. But it's that duality that Tyler previously mentions that he clearly believes separates him. The duality to be so consistently true to yourself whilst being so open to change and evolution. He lists all of the things that he's never conformed to, most of which can be perceived to be cliche in the world of popular rap. Never owned a Hellcat or a Maserati, a reference of course to Tyler's well-documented love of European cars. Tyler has, from the very start of his career, seen himself as someone who is outside of the box. On Oldie in 2012, he tells us that his music is for the kids who were into jazz, kitty cats, and Steven Spielberg. These aren't necessarily things you would traditionally associate with a rapper. Even on Cherry Bomb's first song, Death Camp, he raps that In Search Of, which is the classic NERD album, did more for him than Nas's Illmatic. Illmatic is of course widely regarded as one of the best and most influential hip-hop albums ever made. And as he's progressed in his career, we've seen Tyler become more and more comfortable existing both within and outside traditional rap circles. It's for those reasons he's just as comfortable working with Freddie Gibbs and Westside Gunn as he is working with Tierra Whack or Snow Allegra. He mentioned once that he initially didn't feel accepted from the traditional rap circles, existing as someone who was alternative and didn't conform to stereotypes. But where we see Tyler at this song, we clearly see a more mature version of him that's more comfortable with the duality present in all aspects of his life. Never Wore Beats by Dre to get a video made again is a signifier that Tyler, and Odd Future by extension, carved their own lane. He hammers home this point further in this Rap Caviar interview. This as well is a fucking hilarious bar. The fact that DJ Khaled can get features from every relevant person in the world of hip hop and R&B and can't make a cohesive album is insane to me. Of course, a slight reference to Tyler and DJ Khaled's kind of beef in 2019 when DJ Khaled was disappointed he was pipped to #1 by Igor and called it mysterious music. But if you look at the amount of talent that Tyler, by virtue of him creating Odd Future, has put on, it's ridiculous. Earl Sweatshirt is now considered one of the best quote-unquote abstract underground hip-hop artists around. Frank Ocean is literally Frank Ocean, and even though his discography is quite small, he remains a huge pop culture figure. Sid, formerly Sid the Kid, is out here writing songs for Beyonce. Even non-musical acts like Lionel Boyce, who's mentioned on What a Day, his public presence has increased tenfold since his appearance in The Bear, and is now one of the main emotional foundations of the show. Tyler saying that he put all of these people on is a celebration that they all made it on their own terms, doing what they love and staying true to themselves. But this extends beyond those he has directly worked with. The impact Tyler has had on other musicians is tangible and of course is a fashion icon in his own right. I was a teenager in the early 2010s and I cannot tell you how many people were wearing the Supreme and the coloured Vans and the OF merch with the donut here in the UK. Tyler goes on to claim that those who still continue to see him as this weird outsider are envious that he continues to see sustained success, but also calls himself conceited. He doubles down on that and pushes it to its extreme by claiming he is ego. Now, in all honesty, if I had been doing what Tyler has done over the last 10 to 15 years, it would be very hard to keep my ego in check. And I think if most people are being honest with themselves, they would, for the most part, say the same. What's interesting is the fact that at the end of the previous verse, he speaks on how anxious and scared of falling back into his old life he is. And here he admits that his ego can be pretty big. Once again, that theme of duality punctuates everything. It's not a contradiction to be anxious and conceited, or to be scared and confident. It's human. Tyler then claims that he was syndicated after album 5. Incorrectly, some would list Igor as his 5th album, but for some reason many publications don't seem to count Bastard as an actual album. We know that Tyler does, so we know this is a reference to Flower Boy being his 5th album. Flower Boy is, without a doubt, the album that changed the trajectory of Tyler the Creator's career. It was by far his most focused, most polished, most virtuosic material he produced, and most importantly, it was the most personal. Tyler has strongly suggested that Flower Boy is kind of the fulcrum of his entire career.
That's what that is. And then 26 is like, that's when I figured it out. And that's when Flower Boy came out. And then Igor after, and now this. And you could just tell in tone, like, my skills got sharpened and everything I figured out. And like,
both artistically and commercially, Tyler had grown, with Flower Boy earning him a #2 album and his first Grammy nomination. He had fully entered the public consciousness, no longer the wild alternative act just for angsty teens. He makes it clear once again that change and evolution is important to him. You want the old T? Sorry, that picture faded. The ending of the music video for Sorry Not Sorry comes to mind, where Tyler explicitly references all of his past personas and eras before killing off his most recent one. Goblin era Tyler no longer exists. Flower Boy era Tyler no longer exists. Even Call Me If You Get Lost Tyler no longer exists. For him, clearly there is no completion of character or art, it's the process that you live in. He said in an interview that if you stay too cool, you'll freeze, and that's what renders artists stagnant and eventually fade into obscurity. For me, the single most important trait that the best artists tend to share is that evolution. They don't hold on to previous successes to stay safe and continue to push and challenge their style, their image, and their sound. In music, the first kind of people that come to mind are the likes of David Bowie or Bjork or Kendrick Lamar. Although all of their sounds are wildly different, throughout their careers, the thing they share is that commitment to evolution, and Tyler would put himself in that bracket. We end with a shortened third verse where he declares himself a dead poet before stating that he's actively scared of having children. This links directly to another estate sale song, Heaven to Me, where he expresses both anxiety for having a family and pictures the idyllic, settled life with a partner and children. Everything is about battling seemingly contradictory beliefs and kind of accepting that it's okay to not actually know which one you want. Selfish ain't the word, regret ain't either, is what speaks to this idea. He ends the song with words of motivation or tragedy, depending on how you're looking at it. Put yourself first if you're living with a dream. Be your biggest cheerleader, mother the team. In isolation, these are positive words of affirmation to chase your dreams and not let anything get in the way of that. You have to big yourself up and be your biggest fan because you can't rely on anyone else to do that for you. However, in the context of the first verse, and particularly Sorry Not Sorry, it comes off incredibly bittersweet to me. The context provides us with the sacrifices you must live with when you put yourself first. Anxiety, stress, strained personal and familial relationships that he touches on in Sorry Not Sorry. And I think that's where a lot of people theorize that Tyler isn't only killing off his previous personas, but the entire creator character in general. That burden might be too much at this point in his life. And I don't think it's a coincidence that at the time of recording this video, this is the longest period of time without a full new Tyler the Creator album since his debut. What a Day to me is the personification of the bittersweet, of the unsure, and finding peace in that. It's recognizing that it might be the perfect day right now, but the anxiety of the uncertain next day might also be inescapable. The choice is, what does Tyler and his audience by extension want to be driven by? Do you embrace the now, the perfect day, and not worry about tomorrow? Or do you provide that security for yourself by being a workaholic and damaging your relationships? It's something that I believe is universal for all of us, and realistically, we all tend to land somewhere in the middle. This song is the soundtrack to that choice for me, and I think the reason I continue to associate What a Day with happy, perfect times despite its subject matter is because I'd like to make the choice as much as possible to embrace the here and the now.